Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to take a look at Plankton, the movie. Alright, everybody who knows me and my channel knows that I am an absolute lifelong SpongeBob SquarePants fan. I really love the series. I really love the first movie. I kind of liked the second movie. I liked the love the third one. And I absolutely disgraced and hated every single piece of stuff that had something to do with the Sandy Cheeks movie that came out last year. So when this movie got announced, I watched the trailer on my channel, and I have to say it's one of the best watched trailer reactions I have on my channel. So thank you very much for the reception of that. I really adored it. But in that review in that reaction, I kind of was on the negative for this movie. I didn't think it would be good. I didn't think it was necessary, especially because we have another SpongeBob movie coming at the end of this year in movie theaters worldwide on the Christmas. We have Search for SquarePants coming out, which will have the Flying Dutchman played by Mark Hamill. So I was like, oh, so they're gonna put the bad crap on Netflix. And I thought this was gonna be a part of it, and I really didn't like the animation, and I didn't like anything, and I was laughing with some of the things in the trailer. But then the movie got released already. I thought that was pretty quick, but hey, here we are. And I have to say, even though I hated the Sandy Cheeks movie, and I loved everything else from SpongeBob that has been made up until this point, Plankton the movie, sadly enough, is actually quite a good vibe. I have to say, I really like this movie more than I thought I would. Maybe it were my low expectations that put it on a higher level for me, but making it a musical was a weird choice, but it worked. And making the animation stand out a little more was noticeable, but very much worth it. I mean, the animation has been the best in this movie since they have the new 3D animation that it has ever been. I mean, I really liked what they did in Sponge Out of Water, in Sponge on the Run, the third movie. And I have to say that in this movie, they did it better. Maybe 2025 will be a good year for SpongeBob fans because the animation did some beautiful things. It had some really nice callbacks to the early days of SpongeBob, now in 3D. Like they had the jump bucket helmets for a second, like we had in the original SpongeBob movie. And we also have some of the other things, like the live action parts of it that are really weirdly color graded to make it look like a certain character is actually playing an instrument or something like that. Those little callbacks really made this movie worth watching for me, and the musical aspect of it worked, and it was a vibe, and the SpongeBob or the Bikini Bottom song has been in my head for a year, and for at least the day I watched the movie at. And then, well, in the trailer I was like, why is he singing? And then in the movie, it was a vibe. It was a very good song. And I have to say that in this movie, they kind of reintroduced who SpongeBob, Patrick, and Squidward and Krabs were, which was an odd choice because obviously we all know that. But I think why they did it is because they want to go into a different direction with SpongeBob. They want to do something else for a newer generation of it. So maybe they're doing some things to heal some of the other stuff. This movie especially was fun because it took everything that we know and love from the early days of SpongeBob SquarePants and mixed it all in this movie, being the entire backstory of Plankton, which was a nice and welcome surprise. Even though you may have hated one of the last movies or the second one or maybe even the third one because of the animation style, because I do think that the third movie is mostly hated because of the other animation style. And I have to say, taking it back to the roots of the characters was a great choice. The animation stuff that they did, like using SpongeBob as a fucking closet for books and stuff like that, they've always done these things, but I felt like they were put on a dial back in the other movies, like the Sandy Cheeks and Sponge on the Run, because they had this new animation style that they wanted to test out. Right now, I feel like it's completely fleshed out, and now they put the SpongeBob sauce over it, which is just everything I wanted. I'm not gonna say that this movie is great. I'm not even gonna say that this movie is good. It's fun, it's solid, entertaining, fun. And that's the most important part. It's really, really entertaining. I was really having a blast with this movie, more than I thought I would. And even though they focused on Plankton instead of SpongeBob, and they still put SpongeBob in like most of the movie, because well, that's your money horse, that's the thing that gets the money in, it's still very solid and very nice. And I was actually quite surprised with what I saw. This movie is not going to the bottom half of my list. This one is going to the top half of my list. It's not a top 10 movie. It will never be spoken about in the best movies of the year list, but I did have a great and solid piece of fun. And there were some things that genuinely made me laugh out loud. Especially with Patrick Star, which is a character that I kinda dislike from what they did with him in the future, because he was dumber and dumber and dumber and it stopped working after a second. They did some things with him in here. It really got me. It really was funny. And in the end, the Plankton movie is a love story, and the love story worked. The chemistry worked. It was a bit weird with what they did with it, but the things that they did with it were nice, and I really like what I saw in the end. So yeah, Plankton the movie, it did not miss the ball completely. It's a solid, fun, entertaining movie. It's a good time. Your children will love it. The OG SpongeBob fans will maybe watch will maybe watch this movie and still dislike the animation, but may have appreciated that it still really feels like it's that original SpongeBob SquarePants, because this movie feels original. It feels OG, to say it like that. I've decided to give this movie 3.5 stars and a heart, because it's just really plain solid fun. What did you think of Plankton the movie? Please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it, and I want to thank you for watching. Bye bye.